is quite apparent.
呼んでるんだから返事くらいしてよね。お兄死んじゃったかもって思ったじゃん。
Every time we see each other, she starts complaining. As could be seen from how she stood with her hands on her hip and head thrown back. She was a cheeky little brat. She doesn't really have that pose though, but sure. Her existence brought me 100 disadvantages and not one bit of benefit.
うわ、相変わらず部屋の中汚な。ちょっとは片付けなよ。
Again, seems like a healthy influence to me, but what do you know? None of me hopped on inside without obtaining my consent. She's your sister, she probably doesn't need it. It's because she's my little sister that she gets ahead of herself like this. Yeah. When I see those guys who moe over little sister types, I want to tell them at the top of my lungs, you've got to battle with the reality of it. Well, sister or not, I didn't think she had a bad face. Her kind of childish looking face might be smack in the strike zone for lolly lovers. As her blood related brother though, none of that mattered. Rather, it made me think of her as being babyish. No way I would fap to her. Thank God, Taku, because that would, well, considering it's you, it'd still be weird, but it would not be the weirdest thing. By the way, I don't mind lolly types, as long as they're 2D.
カビクサ。お兄の部屋って相変わらず不潔。掃除しろっていつも言ってるじゃん。どうしてしないの？まあ、どうせ掃除してくれる彼女なんかいないだろうし、お兄ってズボラだからこうなるのは目に見えてるけどさ。
Oh, Taku's not happy.
こうなったらやっぱりナナが掃除しに来てあげるしかないかな。
だが断る。
なんでよ。
お前に部屋荒らされたくない。
きっとそれがわざわざ生存確認しに来てあげてる妹に言うセリフ。
You yourself don't show your brother an ounce of respect. Besides, I don't ask you to come check on my survival.
まったく、なんでこんな面倒ばっかりかけさせる兄弟と血つながってるんだろう。たまに嫌になっちゃうよ。はあ、なんか喉乾いちゃった。飲み物もらうね。
Advancing further and further into the room, Nanami opened the fridge without asking permission.
コーラしかないじゃん。ミルクティーとか用意しといてよ。
Well, considering it's his sister, and that would probably be very bad. So I'm not going for the perverted angle. So I'm just going for the evil, weird delusion. Let's see what happens.
知らんがな。
しょうがないな。じゃあコーラもらうね。
As usual, it looked like she had no intention of getting my approval first. Taking a plastic bottle of Coke, one that, by the way, I drank from earlier, out of the fridge, she opened the lid, hesitated for a second, then gulped it straight down. Damn it, just who did that Nanami think she was? Someone like you deserves to drink too much Coke, ruin your stomach, and get carried off to the hospital. If so, I'd be able to get by without you threatening my peaceful time to myself. Would it ever really happen? The second I thought I heard Nanami suddenly let out a groan. The plastic bottle slipped out of her hands and it goes splashing all over the floor. It got on the manga magazine and CDs I'd left down there. I started to tell her not to contaminate my room, but instead I took a startled breath. Nanami's eye peeled wide open as she pressed painfully at her own neck. Her mouth puckered open and shut like that of a carp.
Nanami.
She spat out blood. Red. No. More blackish than red. Blood mingled with the coke on the floor. Nanami collapsed weakly on top of it. Her whole body convulsed and she began writhing in anguish. She dug her nails into her neck as though to tear it to bits. Careless of the fact that her skirt had flipped up, and I could see her panties, Nanami kicked around convulsively. It was a flippant analogy, but I thought blurrily that she was like a fish thrown up on deck. Not knowing what to do, I covered my ears. But even then, I could hear my little sister's dying screams. Her face plastered with tears and drool and blood. Nanami finally stopped shuddering. I tentatively called out to her. No reaction. She lay splayed there unbecomingly. The smell of ammonia stung my nose. Had it been Nanami who pissed herself? Or had it been me? I tried poking her lightly in the shoulder. She didn't so much as twitch. It made me feel a little ill, but I brought my face as close to her mouth as I could. She wasn't breathing. She was dead. Nanami was dead. It resembled the deaths by poison you often see in TV dramas. Then the dots connected. I had poisoned the coke to kill Nanami. Of course I had. Though I'd imagined it myself, it certainly made me feel pretty bad. That makes two of us, Taku. That makes two of us. In other words, I'd overdone it. No matter how impertinent Nanami might act, I shouldn't have envisioned such a realistic manner of death for her. I should have stopped at something like whacking her with a wet noodle. Having finished drinking her coke, Nanami looked over at me curiously. And let me tell you, Nanami, you don't want to know. You really don't. I shook my head a little and said, though it may have been part of a daydream, I put you through some awful stuff. I'm sorry. But that goes to show how much resentment's been building inside me in response to your insolence. I'd like you to understand that. Ah, wait, she drunk the rest of my coke? I take back what I said earlier. I had no reason to apologize to her. She ought to cut her stomach open and kill herself. She confirmed that I was still alive, so she had no reason to stay here. Why did she have to come up into my room each and every time? It looked like my words had hit her where it hurt. Glaring at me, she pouted. It would be a hassle to deal with her, so I looked away. shut up. Stop jeering at me. I'm not into 3D girls, so there's no need for me to talk with them.
言ってみればお兄と話す女の子はナナだけってことじゃん。
Well, he did talk to a demon girl. If that counts.
だからさ、もっとナナのこと大事にしてよ。そしたら女の子との接し方もちょっとは分かってくるはずだし。
As she spoke, Nanami picked up one of my figures. Hikaru-tan from Suicide for the Light, and scrutinized her intently. Don't unilaterally decide to touch one of my wives. I'll knock your lights out if you get fingerprints on her.
あと、お兄は自分のことにもっと気を使って。こんなお人形さんにうつつを抜かしてる場合